Tonight on DC News Now, a university on edge.
You feel almost scared to, talk about your opinion.
George Washington University has extra security measures after recent concerns.
Sounding the alarm.
Kids are waking up at 9 o'clock in the morning going, I can't go to school without taking a Schedule I narcotic.
Finding ways to stop school overdoses.
Heading into the weekend, we are tracking a warm-up forecast in a moment.
Plus, stretching your dollar with gas prices dropping in the DMV, we're looking at the best days to fill up.
And it's time to fall back.
There are some people who can take more than a week to get adjusted.
Why gaining an extra hour of sleep could actually have you tossing and turning in bed.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 4. I'm Mark Hall.
And I'm Annalisa Gale. Developing in the district right now, tension on George Washington University's campus has led to school leaders now making changes to campus events and even security.
And students say the tensions have been high over the last month since the start of the Israeli-Hamas war overseas.
Randy Bass is joining us live from George Washington University's campus in the Foggy Bottom area there tonight with a look at the safety precautions leaders are now taking. Randy?
Yeah, Mark and Annalisa, good evening here from Foggy Bottom, where the school was set to inaugurate a new president, Ellen Granberg, earlier today. The school eventually made the decision to move that event inside and make that event virtual in direct correlation with rising tensions here on campus. It's one of several changes here on the GW campus taking place this weekend. Students we talked to say they've seen a lot of demonstrations in support of both Israel and Palestine over the last several weeks, and things are really starting to come to a head here. The school says the moving of the inauguration and increased security came in direct response to those tensions on campus. The school also requiring student ID to access campus buildings and facilities this weekend. Some students tell us they felt so uncomfortable and scared the last several weeks that they've been staying away from campus and staying in their apartments as much as they can. Others telling us they're trying to be open-minded and empathetic.
We all know freedom of speech is one of the constitutional rights, so I feel like with that added security, we're able to express ourselves and express our opinions, but in a secure area, especially since everything is so sensitive right now. Everyone's really scared to usually go out or speak out.
Our online environments, we get kind of pulled into these circles on Instagram and social media, and our algorithms, I think, instill a lot of fear in everyone. And we can also see what our classmates think, what they like on Instagram, what they post on Instagram.
Yeah, some students we talked to today say their friends and families have advised them to actually stay away from the GW campus this weekend. We have seen some of those increased security measures in effect. New signage around campus letting students know they'll need to be using their IDs to get in and out of buildings this weekend, along with several police officers here on campus, more than we would typically see during this time of the year. The school also says those increased security measures are expected to stay in place through the weekend. Live in Foggy Bottom, I'm Randy Bass, DC News Now.
All right, Randy, thank you.
Taking a live look out at the National Cathedral. My goodness, another sunny day. Look at the colors out there. It's beautiful.
It's a nice Friday here in the DMV.
Let's head over now to Chief Meteorologist Janessa Webb, who's in for Damon Madsen. She has a look at your weekend forecast, Janessa. Not a bad start.
Not a bad start at all. I mean, high pressure is in complete control. We're over all the frost and freeze concerns we've been dealing with the last couple of nights, and now we are watching a southerly flow kind of build across the region, and you have warmer air in store as we go into the weekend. There's that high that I'm talking about out towards Asheville, North Carolina. There is an approaching front with a few clouds, and so that will impact us a little bit as we go into your Saturday. Not wall-to-wall sunshine for the entire weekend. A few clouds that are going to kind of linger in. Closer look here, really that confirmation on satellite composite radar of all the clearing that you just saw on that live cam. So really going to be one of those weekends where we are seeing the peak of the fall foliage season. So make sure you're snapping photos, sending it into our team. Let's talk about temps, since that's been kind of the center of attention action all week long. 60 degrees right now for our nation's capital, surrounding counties, Fairfax, Loudoun, 61. So I do think these will be our official highs this afternoon. It's a little bit cooler, Martinsburg into Winchester, upper 50s. I do see you, Calvert County, Waldorf, Brandywine, Lexington Park, upper 50s. And so really some of these numbers that are currently coming in and our highs are still below average. We should be at a nice 64, and we'll actually see that going into the weekend. So the start of your weekend, the setup as a whole has that high capping off any storms that are going to try to come into our region. We have a fantastic looking weekend into the start of next week. I have the full breakdown coming up.
All right, Janessa, thank you. Well, turning it out in Maryland, specifically Montgomery County, where police need your help with finding the man on your screen. They say he stole from several cars in the 2800 block of Atlanta Drive in Silver Spring back on September 24th. As you can see, the suspect goes into an unlocked car, takes those items, then runs off. Right now, a $10,000 reward is being offered for information leading to an arrest in that case. Meanwhile, Maryland State Police are sharing ways for drivers to stop car thefts as they rise in the DMV. They say people should invest in anti-theft devices and park their vehicles in well-lit areas. They also say to take valuable items out of those cars to keep them out of sight, and close and lock all windows and doors when you leave, and don't leave your keys inside your cars or leave it running at all.
Well, this week, the Loudoun County Sheriff's Department sounded the alarm of 9 students from the same high school community overdosing in a short time span. Well, tonight, Parkview High School's PTA president tells DC News Now this is a long-standing issue in the community. Northern Virginia reporter Haley Milan reports that parents are scared but optimistic.
My daughter was texting me, "Mom, we're not allowed to leave the classroom again."
For Gaze's daughter, school lockdowns to address an overdose crisis are the norm. School principal Jason Jefferson sending messages out like this soon after, advising parents of a medical incident. On October 22nd, this message alerting families of an uptick in students arriving to school under the influence.
The issue is here. We are terrified.
On October 31st, the sheriff's office notified the community of a crisis at Parkview. 9 members of that school community overdosing within weeks of each other.
And this is really dangerous for kids.
All that's put the school division in the national spotlight again, much like the student policy culture wars in 2020. Governor Glenn Youngkin enacting an executive order on November 1st requiring schools notify families of overdoses. Gaze says the issue is countywide. The sheriff's office reporting 19 overdoses of students this year. She says Parkview's handling of the crisis is being politicized and unfairly targeting the Sterling community.
I'm deeply offended that you're going to try to use our children for this political pawn.
Sheriff Mike Chapman says it's not about politics.
And what we want to do is save lives here. We want to protect these teenagers.
Chapman added a second school resource officer on campus last week. To Gaze's, there's an upside now that the issue's gotten so much attention.
Silver lining. It's out there in the public now, and we're going to get the help and the support that we need and that Dr. Jefferson and the school have been asking for.
All right, back to Montgomery County now, where leaders are paying a lot of attention to the opioid crisis as well. They've started a series of town halls where attendees and officials say they want to bring awareness to and advocate for changes in government policies. Now, at a recent town hall, one man expressed concerns about his wife's opioid prescription.
She's a cancer survivor, and she's a chronic pain patient, so she uses opioids.
We just want to hear from our community partners in the community, what's working, what's not, what the state can do better. I think one of the priorities is going to be adolescent treatment services.
The county's next opioid town hall is scheduled for next Wednesday, November 8th.
Developing now, the family of a D.C. Library police officer killed in a training accident is suing. The parents of Marissa Mannion filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the district and officials involved. Now, DC News Now's Liberty Zavala reports from the Anacostia Neighborhood Library where Mannion was killed.
Well, it was back in August of last year when Mannion was tragically shot here during a training exercise. And her parents say the district knew about the dangers to police officer trainees when their trainers are armed with guns. And this surveillance video shows the moments before retired MPD Lieutenant Jesse Porter pulled out his gun and fired. Mannion was posing for a picture with other officers when the bullet struck her. Porter was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter while armed. The lawsuit criticizes the Metropolitan Police for allowing the trainers to train with live and loaded guns. The suit says the lead D.C. Special Police Officer on scene, Anthony Mickens, and MPD Sergeant Byron Purnell were sworn to enforce D.C. laws. It says Mickens and Purnell should have stopped Porter from coming into and staying in the library with a loaded, unconcealed gun. The family says they failed to do so, saying it's their habit to let sworn members and formerly sworn members of local agencies enter buildings while unlawfully armed.
I see someone that should not have had a weapon on him in the first place in the building. I see someone that should not have pointed or pressed the trigger in the first place.
And this lawsuit is seeking damages from the district and the officers involved for wrongful death, negligence, gross negligence, and constitutional violations. For now, in Southeast, Liberty Zabala, D.C. News Now.
Liberty, thank you. The Washington Wizards are hoping to bring home their first ever NBA Cup trophy. The inaugural in-season tournament kicks off tonight with the Wizards facing the Miami Heat, and that starts at 8. For the tournament, teams are broken down into 6 different groups. The Wizards groups include the Bucks, the Knicks, the Heat, and the Hornets. Each group winner will advance to the quarterfinals along with 2 wildcard teams. Now, these games will count toward both the tournament and the team's regular season standings. Each player on the tournament winning team will receive a $500,000 cash prize. And with the tournament starting today, the team unveiled new court and jersey designs. Now, it features a new color scheme and an image of the NBA Cup trophy at center court. The City Edition jersey honors the boundary stones, which marked the district's original boundary back in the 18th century. The court and the jersey will see their first game action against Charlotte. That starts next week.